So I am here with Paul and Laura Harrigan, who have just been at our Luke 10 conference and just love the way God arranged the connection. And they've come and spent the night with us, and we've had a good morning just talking about stuff. And I wanted them to share a little bit about what their vision for France is and what's already happened with house churches, especially that part of your ministry. So give us a little sense of what you've already seen God do there.
Well, I was a businessman and in the automotive industry for 25 years, moved over to France for business. And when I started, after being an executive for a large French car company, I started my own company. And while I started my own company, I increased my prayer time from a half hour a day to 1, 2, 3 hours a day and said, God, talk to me. And tried to actually listen to him.
Amazing. God really talks to you?
So I started by that and started writing in my prayer journal thoughts I thought maybe God was saying and acting on them, and things happened. And eventually I was led to shut down my company and go full-time and become a missionary full-time. And so I've been in France as a missionary full-time for 8 years now. And Laura's a career missionary, and she's been doing that since the 80s, and 86 or something like that. And we've been married we met each other over there. She's been in France 6 years, and we've been married 3.5 years. She was in southern France. And so she was doing a lot of house church planning, more one-on-one type evangelism down in southern France. And then we moved up to France, and we have a whole area that we just have a vision, a burden on our heart for a massive revival of the Christian faith in France. In 1950, about 85% of people in France went to church regularly. Today, only about 4.5%. That includes Protestants, Catholics, everyone. And so we just have a burden for massive numbers of people to come to the Lord. And one key part of the vision is house churches. And so we train people on how to start their house church networks based on some very simple principles that we got through House to House.
Tony and Felicity Dale, some of their work, yeah.
And of course, one of the examples in there is the Luke 10:2b virus that we have a lot of people in France praying. And there's also the Kevin and Kathy Mullins, the story of Jim and
Melon,
Kathy.
yeah.
Melon,
Right, yeah.
Jim and Kathy.
Because you spent some time with them down in Texas before you came up here.
Yeah. And so the principles that we lived this weekend just were very, very close, very similar DNA to the things we're teaching in France. And many ideas evolved, and we just want to thank you for having invited us to come to that conference.
We're delighted to have you guys come. Like 25 house churches that you know of so far,
Right.
and probably more than that, right?
Have started since translating the materials from the Dales. 25 house churches have started from our network, and then others, like we probably have sold over 100 books, On Commence training, the Getting Started training, and only the Lord knows what has happened from those.
So the titles of the two books in French, the one in English is Getting Started. In French, it's
called On Commence.
On Commence. And the other one is The Army of Ordinary People.
And in French, it's Une Armée de gens ordinaires.
There you go. Good. Well, it's been great.
Right now, what we really have burden on our heart is to do the examples from an Army of Ordinary People. Of course, were based from the States, and primarily from the States, as well as some other countries. And right now, we've seen how that touches French people's hearts. Some people into action, compels them, because they see, I think that could work here. But what we want to do now is research and find examples of how French people have actually reached out and started house churches, so that people can see it is being done in France, and I can do it too. And so
Contextualize into the French culture. That's a great vision. So fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.